Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi, and welcome to episode 198 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Executive Editor of Total Retail. Joining me today is Ken Wincko, Vice President of Marketing at Barnes & Noble College, and operator of nearly 800 campus bookstores, which serve 6 million plus students and faculty nationwide. Today, we're going to be discussing how the company's mobile app is helping to improve its Gen Z's customers' shopping experiences, both online and offline. Thanks for joining me, Ken.
Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it. Happy to be here.
So I think a good place to start, obviously, many in our audience have probably heard of Barnes & Noble, but I want to have you tell them briefly about the Barnes & Noble College business.
Sure. So to step back for a minute, I just want to point out for anyone that may not know, that Barnes & Noble College is actually a separate company from Barnes & Noble Inc. So in 2015, our parent company, Barnes & Noble Education, separated from Barnes & Noble Inc. to focus on fulfilling the academic and social purpose of educational institutions. So for us, we are the complete support system for colleges and universities, both from an academic and retail experience perspective. So we partner with these schools, Joe, to improve affordability, enhance access, improve academic outcomes, all the while helping to support the institutions in meeting their financial and branding goals. So we operate over 1,400 physical and virtual stores across the country, and we've been doing that for over 50 years.
Interesting. So the virtual stores, are they specific to each individual university and college?
That is correct. So each and every individual school, we have a customized partner program that can include everything from a physical store to an e-commerce site, in-store events, and more.
And the merchandise on the stores end, both online and offline, textbooks, do you get involved in other merchandise besides just books?
So we obviously have our traditional textbooks, so new, used, rentals, etc. And then on top of that, we have digital courseware, so we fully support the OER movement, and then we have our own enhanced OER digital courseware. And then in addition to that, we obviously have educational supplies. So let's say you are, a science major and you need lab equipment. We can provide that. And then, of course, the general merchandise as well.
Okay. So as I mentioned in the intro, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and you mentioned kind of the different channels that customers can interact with Barnes & Noble College. Obviously, the individual personalized websites to each school, the bookstores themselves. So can you talk about why, the omni-channel marketing strategy has become critical to the success of Barnes & Noble College?
It really has to do with meeting the high expectations of consumers. As you know, they're more sophisticated and savvy than ever before. They want to be served where, when, and how it's most convenient for them. In fact, 73% of consumers in the U.S. use multiple channels when making purchases. So for us to be successful, we want to provide that unified omni-channel experience, whether it's online or offline. And I know what you want to talk quite a bit about Generation Z, and they are a strong illustration of this. So they're on campus now. And according to our research, 75% of students say they prefer to shop in store. And at the same time, 60% of them say they want an online chat and mobile communications in store. So that's where that omni-channel perspective comes into play. And from a strategic perspective, we all know people are busier than ever before. They're increasingly distracted. Media has become fragmented. So the bar has been raised in attracting attention. And having a multi-touch approach is critical for success. And for us, that really means doing it and executing it in a connected and seamless way. Really trying to bridge that gap between online and offline.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I found interesting there. One, among your customers, nearly 3/4 of them, obviously a younger customer base, Gen Z, college students. You often hear they don't go into stores anymore. They don't like shopping in physical brick and mortar. You've found that not to be the case. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So we do a student pulse survey every single year. In fact, we fielded our most recent survey over the last 2 months. And we're just starting to get some early reads on that data. But once again, the students prefer to shop in store. In fact, similar number, that three quarter of, that 75%, three quarters of them say that they're coming into the store. And it's not just for the general merchandise. And that's what I find very, very interesting. I think it was just off the top of my head, looking at the data, over 60% wanted to actually shop for textbooks in store. And they said it's a must have. I think a lot of it is really about, in terms of the in-store piece, it's really about making sure that it's contextual and it's valuable. And what I mean by that is, they don't want to come into a store if it's not really unique to them. They want it to support their lifestyle. So we've created concept shops in store. So shops within a shop, if you will. Mm-hmm. So you'd be surprised to know that we've actually got fashion and beauty concept shops in our stores. We have tech stores inside of our campus stores, and we also recently launched wellness concept shops. So there's just some examples around what's really drawing them in store, and then we supplement and complement those in-store experiences with digital, and that obviously includes everything from email and social to our e-commerce platform and mobile, and in particular our mobile app.
Yeah, that's a great segue into the next question, Ken. In terms of, you mentioned mobile, and obviously your customers, college students, are highly active on their mobile phones. So it lends itself to the value of a mobile app. And, can you talk about how that kind of fits into Barnes & Noble College's engagement strategy, the app, and driving them to not only potentially make purchases within the app, on your different websites, but also in store as well? Can you kind of talk about mobile as the bridge really between the different channels?
Yeah, sure. What's interesting about our business is that our experiences go beyond what would be considered to be traditional retail, in that we're focused on keeping our consumers engaged longer with the brand. And it transcends just the retail side of the house. It actually is blending the world of education with commerce. So every touch point is an opportunity for an experience or interaction. And this also obviously includes the mobile app. And that could be gathering real-time intelligence about their academic journey, providing them educational materials and tools or assistance, providing interactions, of course, with general merchandise, whether it's physical or digital, attending an event, building in-store experiences that connect with shopping online. So really, it's really merging those worlds once again, whether it's academic commerce, or experiences with traditional retail. And what's really exciting about mobile, just to give you some stats, and I just want to share some research that we have, which is really a core component of our strategy. So this year, 45% of all e-commerce sales in the U.S. will occur via mobile commerce. Okay, mm-hmm. And out of that, 70% of mobile commerce occurs in mobile apps. So to say that mobile apps are a core part of our strategy is probably an understatement.
Right.
They're actually absolutely critical for us. And not only that, but the conversion rate for shopping apps is 21%, which is more than 3 times higher than the standard conversion rate you can see on mobile web. So that's just to kind of give you a little view into what we see as the market opportunity. Now, according to our research in terms of the students, so this is recently from one of our surveys, the top 3 reasons why students actually use mobile apps. So number one, you can probably imagine this type of scenario, so is looking for deals and coupons. So 69% say they're looking for deals and coupons, they're looking to save money. 2 is comparing prices. So not just within your retail outlet, but also compared to other retailers. And then 3rd, because it's more convenient than shopping in store, so 55%. And what we see is the students are really using the mobile shopping app to track the status of their orders, researching products before they bought it in store, so over 60%. And I know I do this, I'm sure you do too, Joe, where you're in the store and you're researching, you're comparing online, you're in the store and saying, oh, maybe I can get it cheaper somewhere else, or maybe they don't have the selection that I wanted in this store and I have to go somewhere else. So that's what they're doing. And then in particular too, what we see, and we're seeing a lot of great utilization in terms of while in the store, promotions and coupons. So over 70% of students say that that's what they're using the mobile app for. And I can tell you, and I'll share some of these stats later, is that is a primary revenue driver for us. So whether they're transacting via mobile, and in particular the app, or they're using the app and the notifications and the promo feeds in our app to drive them in store. That's very significant for us.
Obviously, the value in the app that could provide. I'm interested what you're doing then to get downloads of the app. How are you creating that awareness among students? There's probably a dollar figure attached to each app download you get. What are you doing to kind of promote and try to drive as many app downloads that you can get?
So it's certainly, that's where this omni-channel strategy comes into play. We promote it everywhere. We promote it in store, signage on campus, when the students get accepted. It's in their materials. So those are just some of the channels. Certainly at our events, we're encouraging for them to download the app if they haven't already, to use the app, email, social, our e-commerce sites. So it really truly is this omni-channel presence. I know one of the things you want to talk about is the benefits of the mobile app, which we can get into. And I can tell you that we've seen tremendous growth in the number of subscribers to our app and in utilization of the app, which we can get into.
And it's in terms of the well, we're going to get into the benefits in a second, but you also mentioned kind of the dual purpose that the app can serve. Is not only is it a commerce channel, but also kind of a community building. You can also use it to in terms of content and get messaging across. Are you talk about maybe an example or two of the different ways that you're using the app, and it could be in kind of conjunction with what you're doing in store. You mentioned some of the in-store experiences that you're offering. How does the app kind of play into that as well?
So I can tell you what we're currently doing, and then also we have some new capabilities that we're launching in the next month or two. But I'm really excited about that. I'd like to share as well. So first, to reinforce, we customize our app, and I think this is where we're different than your traditional retailer, where we actually customize it for each educational institution we serve, along with their communities. So based on what their strategy is, what's important to them, what's important to their students, their parents, their alumni, faculty, we actually customize that content and communications calendar that meets their specific needs. So we orchestrate that, of course, across not just the app, but across all of the other channels. So the way that we look at it is really about context, as I mentioned earlier, which is from the moment of acceptance to fall rush, midterms, to graduation, and everywhere in between. So we leverage the mobile app, and it could be to help students find their course materials, or use our loyalty program to go to an event, to register for an event or find out about an event, give them a service update, celebrate a victory in March Madness. So we're doing a lot of that over the last week or so. So it's a really exciting time for us. As far as some of the core capabilities, I want you to imagine a scenario. So let's just say you have a female student at the University of Pennsylvania. She's a biology major, and she really is interested in the arts as well as basketball. So she's following the basketball team. So when she comes to the mobile app, we've created enhanced customer profiles that personalizes not only to the school, but to the individual. So when she logs in, let's say at the beginning of the semester, she's presented with the course materials that are relevant to her. So as a biology major, so she's got to buy some course materials, whether digital course materials or they're traditional. And so we help her do that based off of her syllabus. And so then on top of that, let's say she's going through that, she's going to once again need lab equipment, she needs some goggles. So because she's going to be in the lab, so she can obviously be presented with recommendations. So, okay, well, along with these course materials, you're going to need some goggles for this biology course. And then on top of that, below that, we know from past history, let's say through other channels and interactions, that she's very much into fashion. So we then also can show her, obviously, in the app with a pop-up that we have new fashion arrivals. So all of that is really presented, and that experience is very different than, let's say, a male student who's a business major at a different school, let's say a Southern school in Texas. So those experiences are very different, but it really starts with these customer profiles that we build. It's really based on their interests. So schools, majors, activities. And then we personalize a promo feed based on those profile selections. In addition, we obviously have a whole host of features in the app, such as messaging and a messaging inbox. And some of the new things that we're excited that we're working on are voice search. So we all know that people are getting, when you look at virtual assistants, I mean, that is obviously a fast growing area. And so when we look at customer service and chatbot, so, you can actually, we're going to have voice activation of that. And another key component, of course, we're living in a social world is, ratings, reviews, and wish lists. So you are that female student, University of Pennsylvania, you live in Philadelphia yourself, and she wants her parents to buy her some of the new fashion that she can afford right now, and maybe it's for the holidays or something like that. She can add that to the wish list and share that with her parents or with friends. So I think those are some of the cool things that we're doing. And then as far as in-store enhancements, we're working on over the next 3 to 6 months in really taking our app to the next level is in-aisle purchase. So you can actually scan it in aisle. You can add it to your cart. You could buy it right there if you want. You can add it to your cart online, and you could you can have wait time notifications. So, are your books ready, or is your order ready? You can go pick it up in store. Once again, from an event standpoint, VIP access, those kinds of features, and of course, everything is location based, Joe, where we're going to get more and more specific in terms of we already do geolocation and geo-targeting, but I want you to imagine you're in the stadium and you leave the stadium and you're going back to campus. We can hit you with, let's say they want a big game. We'll stop by the store on the way home and, you get a 15% off and you can buy something. So I think that's a critical thing. And I'd say the last thing I'd like to touch on is loyalty and the loyalty program, which, for us, we really want to expand that further out, which would include not just the GM side, but the course material and the educational tool side. So really making it really comprehensive and supporting both that academic and then the social retail experience.
Yeah, not only are you giving your customers the option of the different channels, and particularly, as we've mentioned, kind of the Gen Z younger customers opting a lot of times to interact via mobile, you're giving them that personalized experience in a number of different ways, from products to events. So really some cool things there, which leads me into my next question, Ken, in terms of, if you're going to list out some of the primary business benefits that Barnes & Noble College has realized as a result of using mobile, and particular its app, to kind of integrate these online and offline experiences, what might those be?
Well, so far, what I can tell you is since we introduced the mobile app about 3 years ago, it's grown tremendously. And in the past year, we're up 20% year over year in terms of active users. And then on a per user basis, in terms of how much activity are they using the app, that's up about 15%. And then when you look at one of the things that we do in our survey is, well, what is the channel usage? So email versus social versus mobile app. And I can tell you that the usage or the preference for mobile app is up over 45% so far this year. So it's really gaining a lot of traction. And then for us, importantly, and for our school partners, revenue growth is up 30% year over year so far. And a majority of that, not the large majority, but a majority is in-store revenue. So people are coming, they're looking at the app, there's a promo feed, they're coming and they're redeeming a promo via the app in-store. And then, of course, the e-commerce revenue is also growing very quickly. From a customer sat and engagement perspective, we've gained very positive reviews. So our average star rating is 4.4 out of 5, which obviously indicates a lot of very high customer satisfaction and enhances our brand. So we definitely see that as a benefit. And then finally, when you look more broadly at this omni-channel perspective, as part of the benefit of the mobile app, we're rated very high in terms of our service. So almost 2/3 of our students say that the store performance was very good or excellent. And mobile app is part of that. So they look at it comprehensively and say, not just, okay, they walk into the store, how was my experience? But How was the e-commerce site? How was the app? So the fact that we have such a high rating and high customer satisfaction level is just really, once again, strong for our brand, and it reinforces, I think, the positive relationship with the school partner.
I'm interested if you may have or may not have any research or data around, obviously the students that are downloading the app, that demographic. I'm curious, have you looked into whether parents of students that may be purchasing books for them, the younger students, the freshmen, sophomores, or even, purchasing, other general merchandise from the school, any insights into whether you're seeing kind of that behavior from maybe these parents of the students that are downloading the app and using it as well?
Yes. So we're seeing double-digit growth in terms of parent acquisition, in terms of users. So I think that's growing. It's a little bit behind where we are with the students, but I do see that as the next wave for us. And once again, I think based on where we're going in terms of the customer profile. So if you think of it, not just even within an individual level, but you as a family unit. So let's say, you've got a husband and a wife or two partners or whatever it might be, and they've got two kids. And let's say, they all are, the parents are alumni of two different schools and the two kids are going to two different schools. Well, we can connect those profiles. And that's the new functionality that we just launched, which makes it even more powerful because, once again, to your point, so let's say the student wants to buy something for their parent, or the parent wants to buy something for the student or for each other, whatever it might be. And then that doesn't even include, of course, alumni and parents. So we see that as even a bigger upside opportunity for us as we go forward.
And then my final question, Ken, is, having had the success, you cited some of those numbers, which are really impressive in terms of the benefits you've realized. What advice might you have for other retailers that are considering launching a mobile app, particularly those that are omni-channel, that offers that have kind of a brick and mortar presence as well?
I think the first point, and this is something that we're very, very passionate about at Barnes & Noble College, is listening to your users. And that's so critical, especially in such a dynamically evolving area such as mobile and mobile apps. But we've built custom feedback mechanisms, obviously, within the app. And then on top of that, as I mentioned, we do an annual student pulse survey in partnership with the schools. And then before we vet our roadmaps, we actually do quick polls as well. So long before we start building out new functionality in terms of our roadmap, we actually take student polls and ask them, hey, would you see this particular feature as valuable or not? So I think that's really, a critical initiative for anybody thinking about that. Second, I think no matter where you go or what part of organization you're a part of, it's really critical to have a single identity for your users. And that's easier said than done. And just let me elaborate a little bit about what I mean by that is, so, some people might, let's say, use your email address as a key, like as your ID for an individual. What you really need is a single user ID that actually connects across all of those channels. And that's how you create those seamless experiences, no matter what the channel is. So we do that in our mobile app. So that way, when you go to the app, and then let's say you go to the commerce site, we know it's you. And then you go in store. All of that has to be connected. And I think focusing on that single identity really enables those powerful, compelling experiences. Third, I think, especially once again, going back to the point around mobile apps and just how quickly it's evolving and the importance of mobile commerce, is that building a great experience means having powerful, compelling customer journeys and adapting when it changes. And, I don't need to tell you about the role of Instagram and mobile commerce from social perspective. So I think having a build cycle, if you will, and a technology strategy allows for your app to be modular and responsive, and flexible, so that way you can make changes to features and capabilities, I think is really critical. And then I'd say finally, it's while acquisition is important, it's really focusing on retention. And what I mean by that is, to truly recognize the value of mobile, you need to build experiences that keep users returning to the application. So obviously, it's a lot cheaper to gain revenue from existing customers and to cross-sell them. And it's a very, very competitive environment, obviously, within the mobile app world. There's just so many apps out there. So keeping people engaged requires a very strong loyalty program. And so if you have one in place that expands across touch points, potentially across other channels and other retailers, and you can support retention, grow your lifetime value of your customers. And then once again, going back to the identity resolution and then playing into loyalty, it's really about personalization, and then knowing some of those key moments, whether it's birthdays, interests, there's a big game coming up, or there's a big concert coming up, whatever it might be. So just finding ways to keep them coming back into the app and keeping them engaged with you.
So 2 real quick ones, Ken. You mentioned, and we didn't get into this much, but the technology piece of it. Interested, did you have you partnered with an outside third party in terms of building the app, or has this work been done in-house at Barnes & Noble College?
Yeah, so we do not use, there are obviously out-of-the-box cloud-based app solutions. We have a custom app.
Okay.
And we decided to do that because obviously one of the core needs is customization by school.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be able to move quickly to meet those specific needs. So we do have an outside agency that we work with who helps with our development. All of the strategy, including the content, how we sell our general merchandise, our course materials, all comes from in-house. So it's really a partnership from that perspective, though we do have an external agency from a dev.
And then the second one, you mentioned kind of the value and retention. You see this in a lot of cases with retailers that customers that download the app are X, percent their best customers. But has that been the case with Barnes & Noble? Have you found that the people that have downloaded the app tend to be your best customers?
Absolutely. I think not to get into specific numbers, but when we look at the revenue growth, I would say that it's quickly approaching, from a mobile app perspective, over 20%. When we look at that subscriber base of active users, those are it's that old 80-20 rule. So they're extremely profitable for us. The average order value is over 50% higher. They're coming back more frequently. And what's actually interesting, Joe, that what we're doing with some of this data too is, if you think about it, there's actually a correlation between how engaged you are with the school from, let's say, a merchandising or a retail purchase perspective, and your willingness to donate back to the school. So if you're a parent or you're an alumni and you're spending more on merchandise, you're probably more likely to donate back to your school, right? Because you're passionate about it.
Yeah, you're invested in it. Yep, passionate. Yep.
Yeah, so that goes back to the data and the importance of the data. And I think, and then, once again, how can you leverage that data to create even more benefit?
Yeah, makes total sense. And, obviously you speak about the retention factor and the value there. You want to give them the experience that'll keep them coming back again and again. So I think we're just about out of time. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Ken Wincko of Barnes & Noble College for joining me today. Please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcasts, for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. But make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. Also, please take the time to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and I look forward to you joining us on the next episode of Total Retail Talks.